Welcome back, guys. We are at the Darkmoon Fair card valuation stream for the Lightforge tier list. This is Advocta.
This is Merps. We're talking about the neutrals that don't matter. Let's go.
Hey, these neutrals matter because our listeners, or some of our listeners, are going to pick them way higher than they should, and they're not going to be happy. So we're telling you guys not to fall for it. This is the Darkmoon Fair. It's like a carnival. There's a lot of like scammy kind of games, and things that you can be involved in. Just don't fall for it. Do not fall for it. Like, these are really some of the more interesting bad cards I think this game has seen.
Yep.
All right. The first interesting bad card is 81. 81 is not that bad. We just have to draw a line somewhere, okay? Like, Silverhand Knight is at 85. So 81 is fine. This is where, like, Violet Teacher is. You don't want a Violet Teacher in your deck these days, but if you had one, you're not dead in the water, right? So 81. It's also where like Murloc Raider is, so it's also not good. You don't really want to be here. And that is a Kathir Ritualist. It's a 3-mana 4/4 taunt. Battle Cry. Add a random 4-cost minion to your opponent's hand.
Look, you're getting more stats than you should get, and also it is a taunt, so it's not bad. And some people might think, once again, I think this is a card. Some people might think it should be higher. Some people might think it should be lower. The reason that it is not lower, that it's not absolute trash, is that giving your opponent cards, especially randomly generated cost,
totally randomly generated cards that are minions.
Yeah, and when everyone has a lot of cards, it doesn't matter that much. Now, you still don't want to do it. And the curve doesn't matter as much, but that it goes both ways, right? So that's why it is where it's at. Like, you like the fact that you're able to play a 3-mana 4/4 taunt. Giving them an extra card is probably not great, but it's not as backbreaking as it was in previous metas in which card advantage actually was a consideration.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still a consideration now, but like significantly less so.
A lot less, yeah.
And also, like, on the other hand of it, besides the card advantage not mattering that much, is also that like a 3-mana 4/4 is just not that great anymore. Someone in chat asked during the break what Nerubian Prophet was, and that's at 83. There's only 2 points above this. Nerubian Prophet was amazing once upon a time when Yetis ruled the world. Yetis don't rule the world anymore. Yetis are 100. So, like, your tempo just doesn't matter as much in the early game because no one's dying in the early game anymore, and there's a lot less snowball than there was before. And remember, we're entering into a rush initiative type meta where your opponent can always remove the things that like you're doing. Like, the good part about being on the board was that you get all these good trades. Well, if your opponent can just spend the appropriate amount of mana and remove all of your stuff, you can't get face damage, and you just what's the point of having all that curve, right? You've gained like very little. So it's 3-mana 4/4s aren't what they used to be. Is really the takeaway here. And at the same time, giving your opponent a 4-cost minion is also not what it used to be. So on both sides, this card is less ridiculous. Okay, moving on. Next we have Rock Rager. 2-mana 5/1 elemental that is a taunt.
Look, we keep power creeping Magma Rager, and it feels like every couple of expansions Blizzard has to give us another Rager card. This is the Rager card. 2-mana 5/1 taunt, also elemental tag. Not irrelevant for some classes. It's fine. This is at a 78, which is kind of where like Wolf Rider is. This is where Murloc Tidecaller is, Razorfen Hunter. So it's not great. Sometimes you might still draft it. And yes, it dies to the Mage hero power for free, but you won't always be facing that Mage. Sometimes you face classes that can't exactly deal with it immediately. Sometimes the taunt matters. It's fine. It's not good.
Your best case scenario is your opponent has to run their 2-drop into this, for the most part. And when that's the best case scenario, you do not have a great card. You have a functional 2-drop. That's all it does. It is functional as a bare minimum kind of 2-drops.
Yep.
Going down more, you have another trap card. Darkmoon Statue. This is a 76. This is where like Abomination is, and where Imp Master is, and where like Squirming Tentacle is. Like again, they're kind of serviceable cards, but you don't really want them in your deck at all. And this is 3 mana 05. Your other minions have +1 attack. Not this guy, just your other minions as an aura. Corrupt. This gains +4 attack. So this card is basically a Yeti that has another ability, and it's only 3 mana. So you can see a lot of people kind of going like, it's a pretty good card. But it's a Yeti that's not on curve. And really most of the value of a Yeti is it being played on curve. So you're not getting much out of it. Again, right? This is like, late in the game, I have a 2 mana 4/4. Like, who cares? Late in the game, I have a 3 mana 4/5 that also gives a little bit of initiative if I already have minions on the board. And if I already have minions on the board, my opponents probably don't care much about those minions because they have initiative, and they could have removed them and they chose not to. It's not doing as much as you think it's doing, but it seems like it's doing a lot.
Sneaky bad.
Yeah.
That's it. I have nothing else to add.
Some people are wondering if it's better than a raid leader. Let me see if it's better than a raid leader. It should be better than a raid leader. Oh yeah, it's way better than a raid leader. A raid leader is a 62. I'm like, I'd be surprised if this is better than a raid leader, but it's like 15 points better than a raid leader, you know? Like, it's not like amazingly better than a raid leader. It's just definitely better than a raid leader.
Because you have to corrupt it, and then yes, the body is like way better, but the raid leader, you don't got to corrupt, and then you can use the 2/2.
This also has 5 health, and really you're using the raid leader mostly for its +1 attack to stuff.
Right. So there's a reason this is better. Like, there's obviously a reason that it's better, and it is better by 15 points.
Yep.
There you go.
Next up, we have 65. So this is in the Booty Bay Bodyguard territory. Silvermoon Guardian is also here. I like Silvermoon Guardian better than this, but the curve is just like not adding up these days. But yeah, it is Banana Vendor. 3 mana 2/4. Battlecry, add 2 bananas to each player's hand.
Yeah, look, it's not great. 3 mana for a 2/4 is okay-ish, and yeah, you get to use the bananas sooner. I don't know what more to say about it. It's not good. For the cost of you playing something that is understated is that you get to use the bananas first, which means yes, you can do some advantageous trades in that way, but is it going to be worth a lot more than you giving up that stat? Not too likely.
Yep. It's also like a decent backup 3, 4, and 5 drop, right? Because you can play the bananas on it if you need to.
Sure.
It's not a great use of your bananas, but it's like a desperation backup thing because you're also giving your opponent 2 cards, essentially. 2 bad cards, but still 2 cards. It's just kind of whatever. Like, don't for some reason think that it is good. Is kind of the point with all these cards. Like, if you think that any of these cards are actually good or like Yeti level, you are wrong. If you think these cards are like playable maybe, or like, they're not going to sink your deck, yeah, they're not going to sink your deck. They're all cards, right? Like, yeah, you could put a 3 mana 3/3 in your deck and you can just like be fine with it. And this is not worse than a 3 mana 3/3. Okay, next up is a Costumed Entertainer at 57. We are now getting to the area where you are a little bit worse than a 3 mana 3/3. And this is a 2 mana 1/2. Battlecry, give a random minion in your hand +2/+2.
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be a big trap card for some people.
Oh, yeah. I definitely feel like this is going to be a trap card. Some people might think it's decent. It is bad. It is really bad. 57.
2 mana for 7 stats, though. Oh, yeah. Wait, can I not add? Is it 7? No, it is 7. 7 stats for 2 mana. How could that be bad?
So here's the thing with Costume Entertainer. 2 mana for a 1/2 is a terrible distribution. It means it gets dominated by everything, even 2/2s. So that's really bad, first of all. And a random minion in your hand +2/+2, who knows when that thing is coming out? Who knows when you're going to be able to take advantage of it? So, best case scenario is it lands on your 3-drop. They dominate your costumed entertainer, and then your 3-drop can come in to try to patch up the hole that you've dug yourself into with the costumed entertainer there. And worst case scenario is it lands on something that you won't be able to play for a long time. So you're just behind. And I understand we're saying, yeah, this is not curve stone. Curve isn't that important. But in the early game, it's still not great to say, yes, I'm going to fall behind for a random effect here. And that's what you're doing with Costumed Entertainer.
Mm-hmm. Yup. There's kind of no early game argument for this card, and in the late game, 2 mana for 7 stats with a little randomness in it is still not good. Remember, when it gets to the late game, stuff matters a lot more now. Like, the swings are so high that you get to these things where you're like, oh, I'm getting so much extra stats from how much mana I'm paying. Like, no. Like, it doesn't matter at that point. Any regular, like, 8-drop or whatever will give you an even better ratio, right? As well as way more card advantage. So, in order for this card to have been worth it, it needed to have something going for an early game, which it doesn't. What it's really made for is it's made for like some constructive shenanigans where you can really control what cards are in your hand. And that's just not the case in Arena. All right. Next card is a 55. This is Gyreworm. Gyreworm is a 3 mana 3/2 elemental. Battlecry. If you played an elemental last turn, deal 3 damage.
So look, this score, because we're rating it for a quote neutral class, obviously sucks. And for those of you who are angry and be like, wait, it's so much better. Let's just go to Mage for a sec.
Mm-hmm.
We know Mage is the elemental class, and we see that Gyreworm in Mage is a 118. So slowly lower your pitchforks. This is what, like, these kind of combo / tribe oriented cards in a neutral class. It's always going to have weird, funky scores. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So Gyreworm in Mage, which is the elemental class, is a 118 because you obviously don't want a 3 mana 3/2. And it's all dependent on how often you're going to be able to proc it, because a 3 mana 3/2 that deals 3 damage, though, is really, really good. And in Mage, it's 118, so it's quite good. That's pretty good. That's all you need to know. You don't need to really look at this score in neutral, because it doesn't really matter.
Just don't take it outside of Mage, I think is what it comes down to. Yeah, like, don't take it thinking you're going to build enough elementals to get it. You're not going to unless you're Mage.
Yep.
Okay, so those were all cards that were like, at least you can make an argument that they're playable. Like, there are around cards like Oasis Snapjaw or stuff that are like Infested Tauren that you're like, I've played these before and not totally lost immediately. But now we're moving on to like a new level of unplayable. Like, the next card is rated 24. Don't even touch this card. There is nothing that should make you consider this card as somewhat playable. Like, this is Mogushan Warden levels. And it is a knife vendor. It doesn't look like a good card. It is a 4 mana 3/4 Battlecry, deal 4 damage to each hero. And it is not a good card. So don't play this card.
Yeah, it's not great. I don't know what else to say about it.
It's just bad. It's not even tricky. Just, it looks bad, it is bad. Alright. Next up is 17. At 17, you're at, I don't know, it's bad. This is like Amgam Rager levels, Dalaran Mage levels. It is Inconspicuous Rider, 3 mana 2/2. Now, like Merp said before, these are the kind of neutral cards. It's a 3 mana 2/2 Battlecry, cast a secret from your deck. These are the kind of cards where the neutral score doesn't make much sense because it's just averaging all the classes. And you're obviously not going to pick this class in this card in a class without secrets. So let's look at what happens when you look at it in a class with secrets. Like, Mage has the most expensive secrets, right? So you can use this guy. What's this guy called again?
Inconspicuous Rider. It's a 50 in Mage.
Okay. So even in Mage, which is probably the best class for it, it is only a 50. And it is only a 50 because you need to have a secret in your deck, and then all you get from it is a 2/2. So
yeah. It's also averaging how good the secrets are. So
right.
if you look at it in Paladin, it's actually a 13. One of the problems with so you're thinking, wait, how is it so bad in Paladin? This also means you have to have Paladin secrets in your deck, and you have to have not drawn it and played it. And like having Paladin secrets in your deck is not a great thing. So once again, this is like, and if you're thinking, well, Noble Sack isn't that bad.
Yeah, it's true.
It's true. I mean, Noble Sack is like a 98. All of those other secrets are pretty bad here, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at it that way, it's like, yeah, it's bad. Mage secrets are pretty bad. Hunter secrets. So it's actually a 65.
Oh, really?
It's a 65 in Hunter because Hunter secrets are good. They're better, you know? Like Hunter secrets are actually pretty decent. Meanwhile, Mage secrets, even though they cost more, they tend not to be great. As in, when you have to play them naked, they're not great at all. So it's like balancing out this like cost, and that's why like in Hunter, Inconspicuous Rider is the highest. But once again, you don't really want to be loaded up with secrets anyways, and then the secret that you pull out might not be appropriate for the situation. / you might have already drawn the secret, in which case it's a 3-mana 2/2. So in none of these classes is Inconspicuous Rider good. You might find decks in which you find out at the end of the draft it's pretty sick, as in it's the best option out of some not spectacular options. But yes, in Hunter, on average, it is going to be the best because of how good Hunter secrets are, and how often you're going to take those secrets.
People are asking about Rogue as well. Rogue is 41. So, not as good as Mage. Definitely not as good as Hunter, but better than Paladin. All right, well that's it. Those are the bad cards. Don't fall for them unless you have everything going for you. Just know that they're bad. Like that's really all there is to it. I think some of these were actually kind of tricky. Like I didn't just like look at it and immediately think, oh, this is a terrible card. But the expectations have just really gone up. Like Fantastic Firebird is at 88 right now, which is about where Boulder Fist Ogre is. But it would have been like a ridiculously insane card if it was in Classic. You know, like it wouldn't be comparable to Boulder Fist Ogre in any way, shape, or form.
So sad about Boulder Fist Ogre. I'm sorry, dude. You were okay at a certain point, as in actually pretty good, and now you're. Whew, the fact that Boulder Fist Ogre is still at 88, I'm surprised. I'm actually kind of surprised, but your time has passed. Oh well. Okay, that's it for neutrals.
Yep, that's it for all the neutrals. If you're wondering where the legendaries are, we're going to do all the legendaries at the very end. So, you have any shout-outs to give, Merps?
Yes. Okay. Let's give another shout-out to David Attenborough Says, okay, for uploading all of the stuff. He's going to be putting this all on YouTube for all of you wonderful people to enjoy. And you know what? Let's give a shout-out to Blizzard, okay? For actually making this game. We never give them a shout out, and we keep on telling them what they're doing wrong with the arena, but they have made this game. They keep on putting out expansions, and I will say this year 2020 people meme about like dead game, and they meme about Frodans like 2020 will cement it for like the next 10 years. They have done so much in 2020.
Yeah.
Holy crud. They have like from BGs to just putting out duels to redoing the UI to doing all of this stuff. Now, granted, nothing was really done for Arena, but in terms of trying to shore up Hearthstone and strengthen it and like make the current player base happy, not for Arena, and also attract new people, not to Arena. They've done a fantastic job, though. They have actually done a fantastic job. Like, for example, BGs, I think the meta is great. I'm playing it a ton. I'm excited for what's to come. So Blizzard definitely deserves props for that. And so thank you.
And this expansion is looking like one of the more skillful expansions. Like,
Yeah,
and for the last expansion of a year, that's actually pretty impressive, because usually the last expansion of the year is ridiculousness and, you know, not really fun, and it's like they're very constructed heavy and weird things are happening. But this one is very basic, really. Like, we probably I know ZD Man, our technical director, is right now finishing up a few legendaries and looking through our mana changes. But most of the work we had to do was really because we did this huge mana change to align our systems internally. The actual cards were not that complicated because they all played with very basic concepts, which made them very arena friendly and very friendly to our algorithm. And that is not something you see that often in the last set of an expansion cycle of a year. So I'm excited for some possibly skill heavy arenas. If not immediately, then at least after they do a micro adjust. And remember, the last expansion of Scholomance launched with a micro adjust. Like, it was already micro adjusted, probably from internal testing or something. So we could get the same thing again here, and then start out with like a halfway decent meta. All right, that's it for us. We'll do class cards next, starting with Demon Hunter. Until then, this is Adwicta.
This is Merp. See you guys.